Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you. You know, musicians are a very unique breed of entrepreneurs. Today on the show, we actually have a chance to go out and talk to 5-time Grammy winner and Hall of Famer, Dr. John's on the show tonight. Amazing guy. And you know, what we're going to be discussing is the business of music. Many people are entrepreneurs in music, and it's a tough gig, so to speak. There's a lot of people wanting to get into the industry, but very few make it. So we're going to be talking to somebody that's been out in the music industry for decades, what it was like in the music business several decades ago. And then we're going to look at the other side of the spectrum, and we're going to be talking with David Shaw. He's the lead singer of a new band called the Revivalists. They're on the show tonight. Keep your eye on David Shaw and the Revivalists. Amazing. And we're going to look at really a contrast of what it was like, again, to be very successful and accomplish just about everything there is to accomplish in the music business, and then what that industry is like now. We're going to learn some amazing success principles that you can apply, not only if you're a music enthusiast, but in your personal life and your business life as well. Don't go anywhere. We have an amazing show.
Come experience Nolan's. Savor award-winning steaks, Greek-style cuisine, fresh local seafood, and an extensive choice of wines. Whether you'd like to reserve the large private dining room, enjoy a meal on an outdoor deck, or rock the night away in our lounge, Nolan's, now celebrating 25 years of exceeding your expectations for casual fine dining, live entertainment, and dancing nightly.
When visiting Gulf Shores, Alabama, make sure to visit the Gulf Coast Zoo, home of the little zoo that could from Animal Planet. Get up close in our petting zoo. Enjoy our unique animal encounters. More than 300 monkeys, bears, reptiles, big cats, parrots, and more call a Gulf Coast home. Come on, go wild at the Alabama Gulf Coast Zoo.
Hey, I'm here with 5-time Grammy winner, Dr. John. And I know you're about to take stage in a minute. We appreciate you giving us a few minutes here on Tuesdays with Dan. You know, I wanted to ask you, obviously you have such a remarkably theatric stage presence everybody talks about. Tell me, with that presence, tell us a little bit about who were some of your influences getting in the music industry.
Well, I'd say my basic music influences was Earl King taught me how to write songs, and well, Huey Smith taught me before Earl, and then Joe Tex taught me later. And between those three guys, I learned how to write songs. And but I learned how to play guitar before I was a keyboard player, and I learned that from I had really great guitar teachers. That I had A.J. Goomas taught me at Worland School of Music, but then I had a guy named Papoose who played with Fats Domino and Dave Bartholomew's band. And later I had a guy named Roy Montrell who turned me on to like all kind of music I had never even heard before, like flamenco music and stuff that I just never heard. And so I was real blessed to have. And then I got, Papoose had sent me to sub for him on a recording session. Paul Gayton was running this recording session, and he actually was so upset to get a student, not the guy he hired, to sub, that he called me, because I was learning how to play T-Bone Walker. He called me Little Bone till the day he died. He actually called me the day before he died, Little Bone again, and it was like, and he was my youngest son's parent, his godfather, and it was like, wow. This guy really holds a grudge for a long time. But this is sides of New Orleans stuff and back in the game. But he had produced a lot of, early records like Good Rockin' Tonight by Roy Brown. He produced before Elvis cut it and had another hit on it. But a lot of records and like that,
Get in from so many different cultures and kind of created your own vibe.
Right.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you're such a veteran to the music industry. You've been doing it so long, as we mentioned. You picked up 5 Grammys along the way. But, like any industry, obviously, there's subject to change. Things change. The music industry obviously has changed. Talk a little bit about some of the changes you've seen. I'm sure some of them are positive, some negative. But what are some of the changes you've experienced over the years? And where do you think the music industry is headed? A good place? Or?
Well, I always think that music of itself is a spiritual thing, and it does a lot of great things for this planet. I think music, me and Bobby Charles wrote a song, it's called Music Makes the World Go Round. And I think it's very true, because it's the only thing that crosses over any borders is music.
Universal, absolutely. Definitely helps in bringing people together, that's for sure. And as I mentioned, I just have to know, I tried to look at this earlier online, but I couldn't find the answer. But the name Dr. John, how did that come up? Where did the doc come from?
Well, people used to call me Doc for a nickname amongst a lot of other nicknames I had back as I was growing up. But it was a guy with my great Aunt Pauline way back in the game, 1800s, and his name was Dr. John. And so I learned some stuff about him, and I thought,
just adopted it.
Well, no, I just figured I'd go with Dr. and John, because that's my middle name anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's certainly, like I said, a great privilege. I know you're going on stage here quickly. And you mentioned this a second ago, that you started off as a guitar player, and then at a certain point in your career, you transitioned to playing piano, keyboard. And I know that transitions are difficult for a lot of people. And obviously adaptability is in any industry. Can you talk a little bit about that, how the transition was for you?
Well, I don't think I would have transited, except that I got shot in this finger. And when I got shot in this finger in an altercation, I should say, in Florida, I was kind of forced into, I had a big cast on my finger, and I was trying to play bass with the Dixieland band, and I played drums with a rhythm and blues band, and it was like, wow. And James Booker said, if I show you some stuff on the organ, I can get you a gig where it's, well, it turned out it was 365 days a year. And the gig came up fast, and it was like so berserk that I never learned how to play that. It was like in the early days of Jimmy Smith on the organ, where he did these hand bass things with one thing on the foot. But I never learned how to do that, and I had to play all of the bass lines with my foot. And that's all I knew. And I never did learn any further, because James Booker wasn't there to teach me anymore. But he was on the gig, but he was doing so many other things, and we were both doing recording sessions all the time, and we never had time to do any more.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, obviously you're such a respected artist, and I actually heard that you have these world-class, these world artists like Mick Jagger, Eric Clapton. They respect you so much, they've even offered at certain points to even do work on your albums. What's that like when working with some of those people?
Well, it's always it's a special thing to have people that's that like it's like Mick Jagger came in and did a record with us in 1970, And Eric even played on one of our recent records, City Care for God, that we did after Katrina. But there's a lot of people that I feel like that is special in the world, but they're more special to me because of just something they do, not because of what the, everybody looks at anybody. It's like Keith Richards. Everybody just looks at him as because he's a Rolling Stone, right. But he's a partner of mine, and I look at that like Annie DeFranco. She's a friend of mine, and people like that, I love them just for being
who they are.
Yeah, and what they like to do. I relate to all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, I'm sitting next to you. I'm checking out your outfit, and you certainly have a certain very unique style. And actually, before I came here, I was researching about how people would describe your style and even your sound. And there's been a lot of comparisons. But how would you really describe, personally, how would you describe your sound and really the experience that you try to give the audience? Because that's what everybody says. They say when they see Dr. John, it's an experience.
Well, I try to play every day before we do a show. I write a set for that day. And I try to write something old, something new, and something in between there. And I try to write up a set so that people get a large taste. Because I've been playing music since like in the 50s, in the middle, the early to the middle 50s, all the way to now. And you know what? I think it's a blessing that I'm still around to even do that. And I love doing it.
Doing what you love. They say if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. And certainly I can tell you really love what you do. And I mentioned earlier when we opened 5 Grammys. And I also saw that last year you were actually inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame by John Legend. I mean, that's got to be, you've had such a long spread career and such an amazing career. But to get that induction, I mean, that's got to be really an unbelievable